Hello all. Despite several consistent efforts, despite hard work, why many students fail to clear prelims? What is the strategy for prelims 2024? In this video, we are going to have an answer for both the questions. Now, to understand the answer, I am going to do an analysis. So, what I am going to do, sir? Let's say 100 questions are asked in UPSC prelims. Right? In the general studies, 100 questions are asked. This 100 questions I am dividing into two categories. One is static, another one is dynamic. So in static, I am going to take the primary subjects like polity, economy, environment, history, geography. These are the primary subjects which we prepare for this exam. Right? For all these subjects, we will be referring some textbooks, be it NCERT or some referral books. So static questions are those questions which are coming from these primary subjects, and these are bookish questions. I mean, these static questions can be answered by everyone who are studying these reference books coming from these 5 subjects. Now, what is dynamic? Dynamic is not just current affairs. It is current affairs plus X. Sir, what is that X? You will understand at the end of this entire video. Please watch till the end. Right? This analysis will be very useful to understand the demand of the exam. So what is this X? We will try to decode it. Now, for further clarity, I am taking 2023 question paper for analysis. In 2023 paper, from the static part, 35 questions were asked. Right? These 35 questions you can answer by reading those primary textbooks NCERTs. Okay, there were some more questions based on polity, economy and all. I will explain that, but what I am referring here is these 35 questions you can answer by reading the primary textbooks. Right? Similarly, current affairs, 25 questions were asked. So in 2023, from static 35 questions, from current affairs, 25 questions were asked. So these 25 questions, these 25 topics asked was in newspaper. It was in Hindu, it was in Express, it was in PIB, it was in Down to Earth, it was in Economic Survey, it was in Budget. It was in newspaper in the time reference. What is the time reference? 1 year before your prelims. In that 1 year before your prelims, these 25 current affair questions was in news. Right? So that 25 I'm taking. So some student who prepares for the prelims exam, what he or she will do, will be studying these 5 subjects, will be following current affairs and will be subscribing to a prelims test series in 1 or 2 places. Then you will go for the prelims examination. Right? But however, there is one hidden component called as X. Without knowing what is that, it is becoming difficult to clear the exam. So what happens in the exam hall is a student, a well-prepared student who have done the 5 subjects, who have done the current affairs, right, would have attended, let us assume 60 questions. That is the current affairs plus the static. 60 questions has been, that person will be comfortably attending in the first round of shading the questions, right? In the first round of going to the question paper, 60 questions. I'm assuming that the student is well read. 60 questions that person is able to manage. But 60 is not sufficient. You need to attend at least 80 questions for prelims, right? More the number of questions you attend, more the benefits. So at least 80 you have to attend. So that student will force himself or herself to attend another 20 questions. Now let me assume in the 60 questions, 40 questions goes correct. In this 40 questions goes correct, 20 is wrong. In this 20 question, 10 questions goes correct, 10 is wrong. Let's assume, safely assume. So what happens in total? 50 questions is correct. Right? This 40 plus 10, 50 is correct. 80 has been attended. So 30 questions goes wrong. So your total mark will be 80. With 80 marks, you cannot clear this prelims. I'm telling you, majority of the students who are failing in prelims, their score will be plus or minus 5 with 80. That is 80 plus or minus 5. Your score will be 80 plus or minus 5. Here, instead of 50 questions, you would have got 51 or 52 correct. Right? Instead of 30 questions wrong, you would have got 29 or 28 wrong. That is okay, immaterial. Right? 4 or 5 marks will go high or 4 or 5 marks will come down, but still you cannot clear the prelims. I'm telling you, most of you who have failed in 2023 prelims, your score should be somewhere between 75 to 85. Someone who is getting 75 to 85, that student has prepared. Definitely, that student has prepared. It is not easy to get that score. But however, we have to cross this. We have to cross 90 plus. We have to cross 100 plus. It is more safer to stay more than 110 marks. 110, 115, you have to stay in that place. Only then you can clear your forest service exam as well. See, there are students who easily clear prelims. I am not trying to help them. I am trying to help those students who are falling between the range of 75 to 85 or 75 to 90 or 70 to 90. I want to help them through this analysis. Understand there is an X quotient. What is this X quotient, sir? This 35 questions I know you will do well. You will definitely do well by reading the 5 basic subjects. But here is where you struggle. For this, we have to analyze further. So we will try to understand the trend. We will try to analyze the trend of this dynamic part. See here, I said in 2023, 35 questions came from static, but don't get scared that it will be that much low. If you take 2021, 55 questions came from static, right? So let us not drive ourselves by taking 1 year's trend. We will try to understand the previous year's trend also. So don't worry, just 2023 I have taken here. Okay. So the static questions weightage comes down, the cutoff also will come down. If static questions weightage goes up, the cutoff also will go up. Okay. So that will be a balance. So now let us try to understand the dynamic part. We'll analyze it more. So if you take the last 5 years, from the dynamic part, right, you are getting these many questions. In 2023, 65 questions. In 2022, 64 questions. In 21, 45. In 2020, 55. In 2019, 56. Sir, I have already done one more video, right? 3-4 years back, I have done a video. I analyzed the previous 5 years also. Right? So I am presenting this analysis. This is 2019 to 23. I have already done a video analysis which goes between 2014 to 2018. Right? So I actually have 10 years analysis. With 10 years analysis, I am going to give you some support. Right? So now let us decode this 23. On an average, you will understand 50 plus questions coming from dynamic. By taking 23 as the sample, let me explain. Now, when I say static, immediately you will say, sir, polity, economy, environment, geography, history. But when I say dynamic, we will know that's a current affairs, sir. Even in current affairs and even in dynamic in general, we have multiple subjects. We have multiple subjects which we are not aware. We are aware, but we are not so clear. What are those subjects, sir? These are the subjects, right? Schemes and initiatives, reports and indices, international agreements, cooperations, initiatives, relations, international organizations, groupings, places in news. Places in news alone you can differentiate into 3 headings. That itself you can divide into 3. One is environmental based locations, biosphere reserves, national park, tiger reserves, etc. Right? Then geographical locations, lakes, Ular Lake, Kularu Lake, Rana of Kutch, questions are asked in the 23 prelims. Right? Similarly, countries in news, countries, communities in news. Countries are in news. Communities are in news. This we have to know. All these I am putting at other places in news. Okay. Then we have species, then polity, economy, environment, agriculture, science and tech, miscellaneous. These are the 12 subjects which comes in a dynamic. So even here, I'll tell you This part which I have shaded in yellow, that is nothing but the X factor. See, these areas which are in news, everyone who reads newspaper or magazine, current affairs compilations will be in a position to manage these questions. Nobody can answer everything, but you can manage. But this, the shaded part, is the X factor. What is that, sir? Sir, from current affairs, from newspaper, you have hidden clues. That clues are the gateway to reach the unnoticed static region. Understand, through current affairs you can link it to the static areas. Through newspaper reading you can link it to the static areas. You might ask, sir, that is what I am reading already, right? I read 5 subjects thoroughly, so what is the problem? I can answer. It is not like that. The static is also so vast. You cannot have complete control over static too. When you read newspaper, there are some hidden links, hidden clues. That clues, if you understand well, that will help you to understand the most important static areas which is important for our exams. Right? So these polity, economy, environment, agriculture, many questions people are finding it difficult to answer in 2023. But those questions which are asked, those topics which are asked has clues in newspaper itself. So your newspaper reading should change. Current affairs, yes, you can very well manage, but from the newspaper you can reach the static part. For example, there was a question on Ran of Kutch in 2023 prelims. When you look at the question, you might get a feeling that it's a geography question. Features of Ran of Kutch was given, and you want to choose of the given 4 option. You will say, okay, these features is for Ran of Kutch. You will choose it. But there was a clue for Ran of Kutch in newspaper. G20 Tourism Track Summit was held in Ran of Kutch. When we read newspaper, we will read, okay, G20 Tourism Track, who all attended, what is it, what is the importance, features, that we will know. But however, the Ran of Kutch part, we would have missed it. From Ran of Kutch, we should have taken a lead to the geography and we should have explored the features of Ran of Kutch. Right? For example, Mundra Port was asked. Mundra Port was in news because huge amount of drugs were confiscated in Mundra Port. That was in news for a longer time. It was a crime related news which we will generally tend to skip. Of course, in current affairs they are not going to ask you about the drug confiscation and all. But a port was repeatedly mentioned in news. Then we should know about the port. We should know about ports in general. Ports are static area. That we have to know in detail for our exams. Right? So, when you read newspaper, when you read current affairs compilations, you should look for some clues which are linking it to the static areas, and we have to pay more attention on those static. Only then you can get this X factor correct. Now, I will take 23 question paper. We will decode these aspects. See, look at places in news. Look at the last 5 years trends in places in news. In the 22 and 23, we see more number of questions coming from places in news. At the same time, in 21, we saw only one question. So, looking at this, don't say that there is an increasing trend in places in news, but know that places in news is important. Don't go by these numbers. Just know that places in news is important. Okay. So, these were the topics which was asked in the 23 exam for your reference. Sir, this part I have shaded in yellow. This part there is no highlighter. Why there is a difference that I will say in the end of this video. Okay, so places you can pause the video, you can even make a note. These were the questions, topics asked in places in news in 2023. Likewise, schemes and initiatives. Right? See, look at, there is no big trend. I'm telling you, there is no trend which I'm going to explain. But I'm trying to highlight the topics or the focus area of the UPSC. Right? So, 19, 20, 21, 2023. The number of questions coming from schemes and initiatives is relatively less, but still we have to focus. 23 questions are asked that I have mentioned here. Similarly, reports and indices, one question was asked. International agreements, cooperation initiatives, 5 questions were asked. What are those 5 topics I have given here? International Organization G20 was asked. Then species, flora and fauna that I have given here. 6 questions came from species and flora and fauna. And from polity, that is acts, committees, rules, conventions. These are not proper traditional polity which we will be focusing. Okay. So these National Commission, Scheduled Area, prisons, EWS reservation, president elections, all these were directly or indirectly was in news only. You should link it with the static and you should be strong enough to find out these areas. Right. So 7 questions were coming from this polity aspect. Economy, 8 questions. 8 questions were asked. Again, these are not traditional economic questions. These questions can be tackled only with the help of current affairs. Current affairs linked static. Okay. Environment, in 23, 8 questions were asked. In agriculture, 2 questions were asked. In science and technology, 10 questions were asked. 10 questions. Look at the last 4 years trend of science and technology. We have a huge number of questions, but again, all the questions directly, indirectly, you can find a clue in the newspaper. Newspaper gives you the gateway. Newspaper, don't think it is the only, it is the material for current affairs. From newspaper, you can read current affairs, no doubt. But you can also get a link to static, that is more important. Right? Miscellaneous topics is also given. So now, certain topics I have highlighted in yellow and certain topics I have not highlighted. What is the difference, sir? The difference is the topics which are highlighted in yellow, that yellow part, those were directly in newspaper. Those topics were directly in newspaper. Out of 65 questions, out of 65, out of from this dynamic area, okay, out of 65 questions asked from this dynamic area, the yellow shaded part, right, had 45 questions. That is, in the 65 dynamic area, 45 questions were in newspaper. That is, the static area was also in newspaper. Right? In newspaper, if you are going to read only current affairs, you can manage current affairs. But if you also look for the static link, only then you can get that X factor and you can easily clear this prelims. Right? So out of 65 questions, 45 questions were directly in newspaper, friends. Just 1 year before your prelims. 1 year before your prelims, you are able to find these 45 questions. Remaining 20 questions, sir, it was indirectly present. It was indirectly. You need some additional guidance. You need some additional guidance to find out that additional 20. That's all. But 45 questions were directly in the paper. So 35 static questions and 45 dynamic questions, 80 questions, comfortably you can attend. Comfortably, confidently you can attend. From 80, you can attend another 6-7 questions to be in safer side. So what you need is a proper understanding about the demand of the question. So now you got some clarity. Follow my video series. This is the first video of my strategy playlist. I'm opening a new playlist. The playlist name is strategy. I have given a comprehensive strategy, but it is not ending here. I am going to explain how to approach. I will give you some more hand holding. How to approach the schemes, how to study the report, what is expected in places and news. If I see a place in newspaper, how to approach that. How to make a note of the important points. If it is polity, economy, what I should look for. What UPSC is expecting us. What the exam expects. That I am going to explain in a series of videos from now. In the strategy playlist, subscribe the channel. Right? I am going to at regular once in 2 days, I am going to give you videos on this strategy. Right? So I will be giving you another 4 or 5 videos in this playlist that is going to be highly crucial. That will be very helpful. My idea is to help you for your self-preparation. Right? So for freshers or veterans who are repeaters, anybody, have the understanding with which you can easily tackle this prelims. It will not be a difficult task. Then you can easily write up your mains exam. Alright, so follow this playlist. In the next video, I am going to explain how you have to approach these individual topics. So see you in next video. Till then, bye. Take care.